here for weeks straight. We out here to teach blacks, Hispanics, and Native American Indians the truth about the Bible. You understand? And today we're gonna go into a little. We're gonna go on a little bit. You understand? Because it's a very big misconception in the earth that Christ died and gave his life. You understand? And sacrificed his life for everybody on the nation of the earth, and that for so long has been believed by mostly blacks, Hispanics, and Native American Indians. You understand? And what I mean by that is this: the concept of Christ dying for everybody means what? It means that all nations of people must or have an obligation to now love each other, right? You understand? Like, because Christ died for everybody, that means that everybody has to love each other. You understand? Chinese people can't hate Africans because Christ died for Chinese people and Africans, according to the Christian church. You understand? But really, when you dig into who actually believes that nonsense, that lie is really pushed and proliferated throughout blacks, Hispanic, and Native American Indian lives, because we are the only nations of people on this earth who will never go to war for crimes that's been committed against our people, against our own, because we believe that Christ died for everybody. Because we believe that Christ taught to forgive the other nations for the crimes that they've committed against us. Because we believe the hypocrisy of the Christian church is docile in the earth. It makes us to be victimized. Where the Chinese, man, when America is at war, when America bombed Hiroshima and Nagasaki, the China man didn't go to no church and say Christ died for everybody, so we can't go to war with America. You understand? When the Jews who are supposed to be the holy people on the earth, you understand, they ain't nothing but a bunch of vagabonds and devils. But though, you know, when the Nazis was putting them in them concentration camps and murdering their people and torturing their people, they didn't turn around and say that they had to forgive Germans because Christ died for the Germans too. They didn't say that. You understand? They went and they came over here to America and they started setting up their own communities, and they separated from the Germans. They didn't make the choice to live amongst them and to forgive them for the crimes that they committed against their people. You understand? So we got to go into these scriptures. We got to go back into this book. You understand? That's been on our grandmama's countertops for centuries. You understand? And wipe the dust off the face of the book, actually open it up and go into these records with a new eye. You understand? We got to go into these records with a clear mindset and really dig deep into these scriptures and see who did Christ actually die for. You understand? But before we get there, let me get Zephaniah chapter 2 and verse 1. This is the first hint as to who did Christ die for. Ashley 2.0 says that Christ did die for everybody. You sound retarded. No sweat. You got that? No sweat. You got it all right? Out of one? If you want to read it, you go ahead. You can.
Book of Zephaniah, chapter 2, verse 1.
Mm-hmm.
Gather yourselves together.
Uh-huh.
Yea, gather together.
Uh-huh.
O nation not desired.
This scripture is telling a particular people to gather together, right? To gather together, O nation not desired. But my question is this: why is the Lord telling these people to gather together? Why would these people be having to be told to gather together? Anybody? Ashley 2.0, the Bible scholar. I give it to you. It's because the nation of Israel was split, right? It's because the nation of Israel was separated. You understand? We had the northern kingdom and we had the southern kingdom. And we were split the same way that we're split today. The same way that you got blacks in the hood, and then you got the Hispanics, and then you got the Puerto Ricans, and then you got the Dominicans, and then you got the Haitians, and then the West Indians, right? And then you got the Native American Indians. We all live in the same conditions. We all have the same kind of flavor. We all are the salt of the earth. We all are oppressed by our slave masters here in America. Yet, we do not fathom the idea that maybe we're all the same people. You understand? Chinese people live in America too. They are not oppressed by America. Japanese people live in America. They are not oppressed by America. Africans live here in America, and they are not oppressed by Americans. When was the last time you heard of Matumbo, whatever African name you can think of, getting shot down in the street, or a cop having his knee on his neck for 8 minutes and 49 seconds? When was the last time you heard of Ching Wong Hung with a cop on his neck for 8 minutes and 49 seconds? Or the son of Ching Wong Hung. You understand? Like Tamir Rice shot down in the street for a fake gun. When was the last time you've ever seen that on the headlines? You don't, because Chinese people are not being oppressed in America. You understand? And they're not being oppressed in America because this scripture right here is not talking about them. The Bible is not talking about Chinese people at all. This Bible, these book of records are written for blacks, Hispanics, and Native American Indians, and that's it. You understand? And that's all that is written for, and it's very evident. You understand? So it's telling us to gather together because just like you see today, we're separated in America. We're separated all across the globe, and the Lord wants us to come back together and not to join with all these other nations. How do you know that this scripture is not talking about all the nations coming together? How do you know that? What's your evidence according to the Bible that you can pull when a Christian may say, you understand, now that's talking about all the nations on the face of the earth to gather together? How can you know? You can just go to a very famous biblical story if you've ever been in a church. Anybody online? D.K. Simmons? I'm going to take a shot. Have you ever heard of the Tower of Babel? You understand? Have you ever heard of the Tower of Babylon, right? What was the Tower of Babel? When all of the nations were trying to come together, right, to build a tower that reached up to the heavens. And what did the Lord do? The Lord separated them, and he set them in their own lands. He took the Chinese and the Moabites, and he set them in their land. He took the Africans, the Hamites, and he set them in their land. He took Esau, the so-called white man, and he set him in his land. And he took us and set us in our land, right? Because he never wanted us to gather together. That's why he separated us in that time. And the Lord has not changed his mind ever. You understand? Like the Lord created a Chinese man and woman to be with the Chinese man and woman. The Lord created the African man and woman to be with the African man and woman. And he gave them their land to do that in. Just like he gave everybody their lands to do whatever the hell they were supposed to do in. You understand? But in the Christian church, we get so caught up in the mysticism of the Bible and that somehow the things that common sense would tell you is impossible, because of the mysticism and the fables of the Bible, we believe that somehow they become possible. We believe that somehow we shall overcome one day. We believe that somehow that we're going to join hand in hand with our oppressor, this man who has had a record of enslaving and slaughtering our people, that somehow one day we're going to join hand in hand and be equal to him. You understand? Because of the mysticism of the Bible, and it clouds your mind with so much dust that you can't even just be real with yourself and realize that there is no equality. Right. You'll never be equal to a Chinaman. And a Chinaman would never be equal to an African. Why? Because a Chinaman is going to want to eat dog. Oh, he going to want to eat cat and bats and pangolins, and he going to want to practice kung fu and be a Buddha. Right. And an African is going to want to go worship bride on Saturday. And he going to want to go, make mud huts and live in mud huts and dance around in the mud. And then in the white man, you understand, all oppressor, he going to want to go thousands of feet up in the air and jump out of a goddamn airplane. Right. So there is no equality. We always are going to be different. Their nation is always going to be different than ours. A white man always going to be different from a Chinese man. A Chinese man always going to be different from a black man. Black man always going to be different from a Russian. You understand? There is no such thing as equality. And so we got to get that dust off our mind. You understand? And them fairy tales and believing that somehow Christ died for that to happen. You understand? He did not die for that to happen. He died for blacks, Hispanics, and Native American Indians, and only blacks, Hispanics, and Native American Indians. And why is that? You understand? Keep going. Or from where he was at.
The book of Zephaniah, chapter 2 and verse 1. Gather yourselves together. Mm-hmm. Yea, gather together. Mm-hmm. O nation, not desired.
O nation, not desired. You understand? This is talking about a specific group of people. And this nation of people is not desired by all the other races. You understand? Like you can go your whole life, thinking that these other nations will someday come to your aid and to help you with the oppression that you're going through in America. Right. And your whole life you're gonna be waiting. Your whole life you're gonna wait for the white man to stop, for that slave master to stop slaughtering your babies in the street. Your whole life you're gonna wait for a day that you turn on the news and you don't see police brutality against your people. Right. You're going to wait for a time where you don't see that your people are at the bottom of every totem pole of every bad thing in America. You're going to wait for that day and you're going to die waiting for it. You understand? If you stay up in the Christian church, you'll never get it, because justice doesn't come with just allowing your oppressor to do whatever the hell he wants to do to you. You understand? How do you get justice? How has anyone ever gotten justice? What has to come first with justice? If someone commits a crime, if someone steals your wallet, and you want to get justice for your wallet stolen, what first has to be done? Anybody? Anybody online? What must first be done? If you got your wallet stolen and you want justice, what first has to be done? You got to bring the charges up. You got to say what had happened to you. You understand? You got to charge the people who committed the crime. Yeah, I'm too wild. You got to charge the people or the person that has committed the crime against you. You got to say, well, this brother right here, he stole my wallet. You understand? And once you do that first step, then you can go into getting the justice for the crime that he's committed against you. You can go into getting some reparations for what he's stolen from you. You understand? But being in the Christian church, we can never bring up the crimes of white people. Being in the Christian church, we can never bring up the crimes of Moab or the crimes of Ishmael or anything of anybody, you understand, except each other. You live in a Christian church, you bring up the crimes against your brother with a quickness. You understand? Someone step on your shoe in the club, and you are ready to take his head off right there in the club. Right. Someone wearing the same dress as you, and you are ready to have a cat fight with her right there in the club. You understand? And you going to bring up the crimes. You gonna run your mouth, and you going to say, I know damn well she ain't coming this club with the same dress with me thinking she going to rock it better than me. Right. You understand? And then you are going to do anything you got to do to make sure that you get justice, even though your justice is not justified. You understand? We got to stop with the nonsense. But the point is, that level of mentality stops as soon as we enter into them Christian doors. As soon as we enter to that Christian church on Sunday, the level of mentality of glory, the mentality of justice, you understand, the mentality of bringing up charges for crimes that's been committed against our people, it leaves. it leaves out of your breath. You understand? It leaves out of your mindset. You go in the Christian church and all the crimes that your people you just forget about. You understand? You go in there and they bring up Tamir Rice. And they say how much of a tragedy it was. They go in there and they bring up Eric Garner and Fidel Castile. And they tell you how much of a tragedy it was. And then they give you words that make you cry. And you cry. Right before the songs come on. And you cry and you cry and you cry. And then when you walk out of there, you forgot the reason you crying. You've forgotten the pain that you've had. Because that pastor has pacified you. You understand? And so you forget with the pain that you had, and the white man is allowed to continue to do it. I was watching the show. It's like a little seasonal show. I don't know what you call them things, but it only got 4 episodes, and it's on BET or whatever, and it's either called Bad Money or Dark Money. Dark Money. And the show is about, I don't know if they Hamites or if they just black living in UK, but the point is the show is about a family. Right? It's a family, a man and a woman, a black man and a white woman. And the black man and white woman have a son, a little light-skinned son, whatever you want to call him. And the light-skinned son has a sister and he got a brother who was born from, I guess you would say, adultery to them, right? Even though that other woman would just be his wife. But in the show, the little boy, he is like it starts off the show with him coming back from Hollywood, coming back from America, and he done made like a $100 million movie. He the star. You know what the movie was called? It was like some sci-fi something. It was made up, but he's like a star over here in America, an upcoming star. And when he comes back to the UK, you understand, like his parents throw a party for him. And they throwing a party for him, and all his family members and his friends is in the party, and they having a good old time. They like, oh man, what was the boy's name? I forget his name too. But they having a party for him, and he not really feeling it. You in the first episode, you see he not really feeling it, and so he goes up to his room by himself, and then eventually all you see is him just watching a video on his iPhone. Right? He watches the video, and then eventually the father comes up, and the father's talking to him, asking him, what's wrong with you? Why you not out and having fun at your party or whatever? And the boy just drops the phone to his dad and lays back in his bed. It won't Max. No, that wasn't his name. I don't think so. I'm not. It could be. I'm not mistaken. What you Googled it? It said it. Was that his real name or was that his character's name? Yeah. Isaac. That's his name in the show. Isaac is his name in the show. But he drops the phone to his father and lays back in the bed. And his father's like, what is this? And he just lays in the bed and he's just saying, I'm sorry. And when he watches what Isaac had recorded, his son, he sees that the producer, you understand, came into the trailer or whatever they have the actors in. And he basically came in there and molested the little boy. You understand? He basically came in there and made the little boy commit, homosexual acts onto himself. Some wicked devil doing that. You understand? They portrayed it so perfectly too in the show because that's exactly what be going on a lot of the times with them little boys going out there in Hollywood and stuff like that. So of course his father's initial response to the video was like any good father. You understand? At first, he tried to console his son, let his son know that he didn't do nothing wrong. And then right after that, he wanted vengeance. You understand? Right after that, the father goes downstairs, and he's trying to hold his tears back. And he's like, Isaac's, he's tired. Everybody got to leave. We're going to see y'all next time. Soon as the last person leaves, he shuts the doors. He drops down crying. He drops down right there at the door crying because he knows that his son just got molested by this producer, right? And he wants vengeance, man. And his eyes, you can see it in his eyes that he wanted to murder that man who did that to his son, who raped his son. As the show goes on, of course, they try to figure out a way to bring up the charges, right? They go to speak to the lawyers of the producer. And the lawyers go crazy talking about a whole bunch of And I hate to spoil it for people, but if y'all ain't seen it, but Salakia, you understand, spoiler alert. But they go to the lawyers to try to figure out how they going to get this man in jail. That's what they thought was about to happen. But the lawyers tell them basically the video don't show anything, yada, yada, yada. They doing all the lawyer talk, and then they slide them $3 million. And they say you got 5 minutes to accept it. You understand? That $3 million that they slid to that family, which they took the $5 million to be quiet, to not say anything about the crimes that have been committed against their son. That $3 million is what happens when you go into the Christian church every Sunday. It's the same pacifying technique that happens when you go into Christian church on Sunday. Because when you go into Christian church and you sing, when you cry, you have the anger for the crimes that's being committed against your people, and then you cry. You're sad about it. And then you're taught to have forgiveness. You're taught to have to forgive the crimes that's been committed against against them 9 brothers and sisters in Charleston, South Carolina. You're taught that you have to forgive Dylan Ruth Storm. You got to forgive the cops that murdered George Floyd. You got to forgive the cops that murdered Tamir Rice. You got to forgive them. So after you take that sermon, or after you take that $3 million and you leave, then you have no more fight in you. You have nothing else that you can give to your son. You have nothing else that you can give to your people, because you've already taken it. You've taken the gift from that man who has destroyed your child's life. And that's what we do every time we go into that Christian church every Sunday. We take the gift of that man that killed Tamir Rice. We take the gift of those men who killed Emmett Till. We take the gifts of the men who slaughter our brothers and sisters every day in the streets of America. And ain't nothing we can do about it after we've taken that gift, man. You understand? That's why it's very vital. It's very vital that we go back and we rediscover these records, man. We go back into this book and we question the things that we're taught. Because everywhere we look around us, we don't see other nations forgiving not a damn thing. You didn't see China forgiving America for Hiroshima and Nagasaki. You didn't see America forgiving the Middle Easterns for 9/11. You understand? You don't see them forgiving a goddamn thing. Yet all we can do is forgive and let go. You understand? They tell us to forget about slavery. They tell us to forget about all the oppression that they putting on us. You understand? But according to the Bible, that's nonsense, man. According to the Lord, that's nonsense. The Lord never made us a people to be so weak, man. Give me, is Israel a homeborn slave? The Lord didn't create us this strong. You understand? The Lord didn't create us to be this intelligent, to be this warlike. You understand? Black people in the ghettos are the most savage warriors that you could find in America today. You understand? Why the hell you think white people were scared in their boots every time you pull up beside them? White people locking their doors 12 times before they go on to Whole Foods if they see a nigger standing near their car, because they know that you can't do anything with a black man because he's a soldier. You understand? But being in the Christian church has taken the fight out of our nation. It's taken the love for our people out of our nation, man. And Christ didn't die for that. The Lord didn't create us to be that way. You understand? When you got it, go ahead and read it.
The book of Jeremiah, chapter 20, verse 14.
Uh-huh. Okay. Jeremiah chapter 2 and verse 14. Most High in Christ, the water.
Jeremiah chapter 2, verse 14. Is Israel a servant?
Is Israel a servant, man? Is that all we were meant to be? You understand? The Lord created us to be the mightiest men on the earth. And it's evident to this day. And the Lord is asking, is Israel a servant? You understand? Keep going.
Is he a homeborn slave?
Is he a homeborn slave? You understand? Like, is this the life that we supposed to live? You understand? That's what we should. If you going in the Christian church, you should ask your pastor that. Ask your pastor, is the condition that we're in today, Is this the condition that the Lord had set for us? Is this the condition that the Lord had placed for us, man? Ask him that and see what he tell you. You understand? Are we supposed to be the ones that's last hired and first fired? Are we supposed to be leading in heart disease and lung cancer and breast cancer and black on black crime? Are we supposed to be the people filling up the prison system? You understand? Is this who we supposed to be? And see what the answer your pastor give you, man. You understand? Because if he give you any other answer other than no, if he says no to you, that this is not how we supposed to be, then why the hell are we singing in the Christian church as if we done something? Why the hell are we sitting in the Christian church being all docile as if we won a goddamn thing? You understand? We sit up in the Christian church after our brothers die, and we are just happy as can be. We are just so ignorant to the fact that our brothers are homeless, man. That our brothers are being abused by drugs out here on the street every day. That our brothers feel like they have no other way out of the hood except to dribble a basketball or to murder each other. And yet we in the Christian church, and we have not 1 ounce of anger in us. We have not 1 ounce of a need for vengeance in us, man. You understand? And the Lord is asking, are we a homeborn slave? Is this what the Lord made us to be? You understand? Keep going.
Why is he spoiled?
Mm-hmm.
The young lion roared upon him and yelled.
No sweat. All right, drop that. You understand? Go back to Zephaniah 2:1. Again, anybody on the chat, anybody on the live, if you got any questions or comments, just type your question in the chat in the chat box. I'll get to it.
Zephaniah 2, verse 1.
Mm-hmm.
Gather yourselves together, ye. Yeah.
No sweat.
Gather together, O nation not desired.
O nation not desired, man. The Lord is telling us right there that we were not meant to be a homeborn slave. You understand? Even though we're not desired by these other nations, even though we're not desired by the Chinese or we're not desired by the African, the Lord is telling us to gather together, man, because we're precious unto him. You understand? Blacks, Hispanics, and Native American Indian, man, woman, and child, you're mighty unto the Lord, man. You understand? You're precious jewel unto the Lord, and the Lord did not create you to be a homeborn slave. The Lord did not create you to bow your head and tuck your neck and allow some devil to stick his disgusting knee on your neck for 8 minutes and 49 seconds. You understand? What you got out of one Salaki?
So, for the people online and the people in the audience, all of this is relevant if you subscribe to being Israel.
Mm-hmm.
But you have people that all their life have been told that they're black, that they're African American, and that we come from Africa. What was your process as a teacher? What was it that tilted your hand or made you realize that we are the children of Israel? What was your experience, meaning prior to you coming to the truth? Did you have any, what's the word? Did you have any prior knowledge thinking that, nah, this is not true? Or were you always 100%? I'm going to, we're Israelites? Okay, we're Israelites. What was it that convinced you that we are the children of Israel? What was your process as a young black man coming up in American society?
So if I get it right, the question is before I'm in the truth, you understand, and I'm hearing for the first time that we are Israel, we not Africans. Well, are you asking what was it that convinced me that we're not African?
What was the journey into the truth as well as that?
The journey was very simple. The journey was just sitting in class every Friday here in Durham, North Carolina. That was the beginning of the journey. You understand? But when you like the first thing any brother or sister in the world has to do, you understand, and that is to forget everything that they've ever been taught. You understand? Like they have to lower the pride that they have in thinking that they know every goddamn thing. You understand? Because the truth is that you don't. You don't know a damn thing. And that was something that I had to overcome, thinking that the way I was living was just okay. You understand? It was good for what I wanted to do. But coming into the I.S.U.P.K. and sitting into them classes, as a matter of fact, give me Deuteronomy 28 and 68. You understand? This was the scripture that was very heavy for me, because I don't even know if I ever believed I was African. I think the whole African thing is just something that it's been pushed on us so much in America that it's like you ain't got no other choice but to be an African, because you don't know what the hell else you gonna be. You understand? But I never looked at Africans and thought that was my people. And I will always question, you understand, like if we are African and the so-called pale man came to the west coast of Africa and started taking us away from our families and started taking us away from our friends and our tribes and all of that, Matumbo, then why the hell is there no records of any wars? You understand? Like, why even to this day isn't Africa calling for us to come back home? You understand? Like, why is it that our families that were separated aren't being brought back to be reunited to Africa? And I never seen it. And I never seen how Africans even correlated with us. You understand? I had African friends, and I would just wonder, how the hell are you African and I'm not, but I'm African, if that makes sense. You understand? If I had an African friend, and you talk to this African friend, and he'll tell you that his father was born in Durham and went to Central, and then he had his son, and that son is your African friend, and he's born in Durham just like you're born in Durham, and he's African, and he knows his people are from Nigeria or Liberia or wherever, and you grow with him, and somehow he's different than you. But I'm African though. I have the question, how in the hell aren't we not alike? How in the hell do we not share the same traditions? How in the hell do we not sound alike? You understand? If your people have been living here in America, Africans live here in America. They got generations over here. They've been growing up in Baltimore and Brooklyn and Durham and Cali. Africans, real Africans, who can trace their lineage back to Nigeria or whatever the hell, and sometimes they go back to Africa to visit their family. But yet they do not sound like us. Yet they do not look like us. They don't smell like us. They don't play ball like us. They don't run like us. They can't hop on a football field like we can hop on a football field. They can't do anything like us, but they've been living here amongst us. And it made me realize something. It made me see a correlation to Africans. And who could tell me what that correlation is? Well, I'll give it to you. The same correlations I had to Africans was the same one I had to Chinese people, because Chinese people lived in Brooklyn too. Chinese people got generations of family members who lived here too, but yet they didn't act like me, and they didn't look like me. And I realized, and it was easy to realize, that Chinese people aren't me. But I realized after coming in the truth and figuring out these scriptures, and it made sense, it started to make sense, that the same reason Chinese people don't look like me or act like me is the same reason that the African people don't look like me and act like me, even though we've been growing up in generations here in America in the same cities. And it's because we are not the same people. You understand? It's because Chinese people and us are not the same people. And African people and us are not the same people. You understand? And you cannot tell me that an African man living here in America would not start to sound like us if we were the same people. Because even amongst black people, when you look at where black people live according to where they grow up in America, you hear different what? So you said what? Salakia. Dialects or different what? What do people say? Oh, you from New York. I can hear it in the, what do people say? Accents, right? You got different accents based on where people are born. You live in Baltimore, you got the Baltimore accent. You live in New York, you got a New York accent. You live in Louisiana, you got a down south accent. But when Africans come over here, they can live everywhere, and they still don't sound like us. You understand? So it's an African baby born in Louisiana, raised in Louisiana, and he still sounds like an African. You understand? He may use some of the words that they use, but when he speaks, you still say, oh, that's an African. And that's because he's not who we are. You understand? Give me that scripture I asked for.
Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 68.
So anybody got a Zondervan on them? It's not one right here. I mean, Shalakia. I meant the Babylon. Babylon and Timbuktu. No sweat. Yeah. No sweat. Could you pull that Babylon and Timbuktu, 65 BC? I think it's page 64, if I'm not mistaken. Go ahead, Zabak.
Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 68.
Mm-hmm.
And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships.
And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships. Now, any Christian or anybody with the basic biblical knowledge of the Bible would know that this Bible is talking about Israelites, right? And it said that the Lord will bring thee into Egypt again with ships. If you have any, you understand, if you got any scholarly about you, if you scholarly at all, then you know that Egypt back then, that landmass that we call Egypt today, back then was not called Egypt. You understand? Even if you know Pan-Africanism, or you know them brothers who want to be African so damn bad, they would tell you that Egypt was called Kemet. But even before that, it was called Mizraim. You understand? So the Lord is saying that we will be brought back into Egypt again with ships. Now, Egypt is a landmass in Africa that is surrounded by countries, you know, or tribes, whatever the hell they call them. You understand? And it said that we would be brought back again with ships. But if the first time we left Egypt was on foot, then how in the hell will we be brought back to the place that we just left on foot with ships? You understand? It wouldn't make sense. If we was to go back to Egypt, we would walk back the same way that we came, that we walked out of Egypt. But what we don't realize is that Egypt is a Greek word, Egyptos, you understand, which means bondage. You understand? Keep going. Mm-hmm.
By the way, start over. Verse 68, and the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships.
Mm-hmm.
By the way whereof I spake unto thee.
So the Lord is saying we would be brought back into bondage again with ships. You understand? By cargo slave ships, we would be brought back into bondage. We would be brought back into slavery. And by the way whereof that he spake unto thee, you understand? Meaning our homeland, the way that we came from, where we came from. You understand? That's why black people today in America always have that one question. Where did we come from since before them cargo slave ships? Who were we before we were slaves on them slave ships? You understand? Keep reading.
I spake unto thee, thou shalt see it no more again.
We will never see our homeland again. Keep going.
And there ye shall be sold unto your enemies.
And ye shall be what?
Sold unto your enemies.
And ye shall be sold unto your enemies. You understand? When you go into history, 400 years ago, we started arriving over here into America, or what the oppressor deemed as the New World, right? And they colonized with the 13 colonies, and then they went to bring us over here after they was dealing with the Native American Indians, and they sought to sell us as slavery. They start to sell us as property. You understand? So when you go into the scriptures and you see or you read that we should be sold unto our enemies again with by the way of cargo slave ships, then it begs the question, who in the hell could this be talking about? If you know that this is, well, first of all, Salaki, if I could, what other nation or race of people on the earth has went into slavery by the way of cargo slave ship? What other nation of people on earth has went into slavery, mass slavery, by cargo slave ship? Was it the Chinese? Are the Chinese people? Is there records of Chinese people on cargo slave ships? Or is it records of Hawaiian people on cargo slave ships? There is no other record of any other nation of people being sold into slavery by the way of cargo slave ships. Only blacks, Hispanics, and Native American Indians, or only blacks and Hispanics. You understand? Who were sold by cargo slave ships. So when the Bible is saying that the Lord shall send thee into Egypt again with ships, and we know that this Bible is talking about and to Israelites, then when you connect the dots, you have no other correlation other than blacks, Hispanics, and Native American Indians is who this scripture is talking about. Because nobody else went into slavery with cargo slave ships. They didn't. You understand? And brother, did you Google the Babylon? Kind of, the brother has stepped out. You understand? Read that from the top, Bible Kushah.
Deuteronomy 28, verse 68. And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships, by the way whereof I spake unto thee. Thou shalt see it no more again. And there ye shall be sold unto your enemies.
And there we were going to be sold into our enemies. When you see those old pictures of us on the auctioning blocks in Charleston, South Carolina, you understand? When you see those pictures of Negroes for sale and niggers for sale, and them white men getting up there 25, 25, 35, that talking that they was doing, you understand? You're seeing this scripture being you seeing this prophecy coming to fruition. You're seeing what the Lord prophesied thousands of years ago. You understand? Back into Moses coming into fruition, that his people were going to leave out of Egypt, leave out of the bondage of Pharaoh. You understand? And then go right back into slavery again. You understand? Because we chose not to be disciplined and we chose to be obedient, Salaki. We chose to be disobedient to the Lord. Adawan, whenever you get that, if you could. Right, no sweat. Let me see if I can just get it. I think I got a screenshot of it. All right. You understand? And then just the sole fact that there is no records of any wars on the coast of Africa. There is no records of any wars of Africans being stolen and they'll be fighting. Like you gotta imagine yourself. You gotta take the mysticism off everything in your mind right now, and you gotta put yourself hundreds and hundreds of years ago, and imagine you're an African. You understand? Imagine you're an African and you live in Africa, and you are a great African warrior. You run around with no socks on and no shoes. You step on everything sharp. You fight lions and bears and pythons and anacondas for fun. You fight buffalo and whatever the hell else they fight over there in Africa. They are warriors out there, right? Shaka Zulu. They kill every goddamn thing in Africa. And you are a strong Matumbo warrior. A warrior, goddammit, ready to die. And your whole tribe is full of warriors. What they do in Kunta Kinte on Roots in the beginning, what they start kidnapping the boys at 13 and bringing them into the wilderness and training them up, making them to be, what was the name of them? Mandingo warriors. So you got tribes full of just warriors every goddamn where in Africa. And one day you wake up and someone has kidnapped your son, or some white man has kidnapped your daughter, and she's screaming for her life. And they're putting chains on her necks. And you're waking up, and you got to remember, God damn it, I'm a Mandingo warrior. I'm a Matumbo warrior. I'm a tribe of gazelle warrior, whatever the hell you are. You fight lions and bears every day. And this scrawny old white boy is taking your daughter and the rest of the children in your tribe and your mothers and your fathers and your aunts and your uncles and your friends. They're taking everything away from you. And you wake up such the warrior you are, and there is no stories. There is no recollection of any wars on the coast of Ghana. You understand? There's no recollection of any wars on any of the coasts that they had supposedly taken Africans from. You understand? But I tell you what there is. There are massive slave castles. There are massive slave castles built on the coast of Ghana that the white man had to be able to set sail on the coast and then had the time and resources to be able to build. You understand? They had to have the time to be able to land on Ghana and then be able to build these slave castles to be able to hold the slaves that they were getting ready to take. You understand? That doesn't seem, that I can't fathom a warrior nation such as these warrior nations in Africa just allowing some foreign stranger to come on their land and to start building prisons without any retaliation. That's just something for me that's just something hard for me to fathom. You understand? And we're going to break it down and tell you why that's not true. You understand? Why blacks, Hispanics, or why black men in America are not the so-called Africans, man. Read what you got.
All right. From the book, From Babylon to Timbuktu, by Rudolph Windsor. In the year 65 BC, the Roman armies under General Pompey captured Jerusalem in 70 AD.
Meaning 65 BC, meaning 65 years before Christ. You understand? General Pompey, who was a Roman, you understand, captured Jerusalem, which is where Israelites were living at the time. You understand? Keep going.
In 70 AD, General Vespasian and his son Titus.
So 70 years after the death of Christ, 70 years after he was crucified, you understand? What was the names again?
General Vespasian and his son Titus put an end to the Jewish state.
They put an end to the Jewish state. Why? Because they hated us. They hated us the same way they hate us today. You understand? The reason why they killed Christ is the same reason why they killed George Floyd. The reason why they killed Christ is the same reason why they murdered Tamir Rice. It's the same reason. It ain't never changed. The scriptures say there ain't nothing new under the sun. Killing Christ was killing just another black man that they didn't like. Another black man who didn't conform with society. Another black man who didn't just go to Christian church on Sunday and eat shrimp, crab, pork, and lobster. It was just another black man who went against the rulership of Rome. You understand? Because Christ loved his people, and he was not a homeborn slave, and he knew that his people was not supposed to be either. So 70 years after Christ died, they went and started slaughtering the rest of the niggas who was living in Jerusalem. Keep reading.
With a great slaughter.
With a great slaughter.
Many outrages and atrocities were committed.
Many outrages and atrocities were committed. You understand? That is nothing new. Like even with today, when you go back into the history of slavery, you see that all slave masters use our babies for alligator bait. That's an outrageous atrocity against our people. You understand? It's one thing to have a slave, but it's another thing. It's an atrocity. You understand? To take the slave baby and to stick it on the banks of a swamp and use it to lure alligators out so that you can make purses and shoes and jewelry and relics and things like that. That's an atrocity, man. That's committed, man. That's why the Lord got to deal with our slave master. Not, you understand, because he took it too damn far. He didn't just go to war with us and take us captive because we lost the war. You understand? He deceived us and captured us and took us into slavery and made us to be homosexuals, man. Took the strong men of our brothers, man. Took the strong men of our brothers and on those plantations and tied him up for no reason other than to show his power and his might amongst the rest of the slave. For no other reason, just to show how strong he was and how weak we were under his control. They would take the strong men of our brothers and they would rape him in front of everybody. That's an atrocity, man. That's an outrageous atrocity, man. Like I said, it's one thing to have a slave. It's another thing to take that man against his will and to rape him for no goddamn reason other than you can. You understand? To tar and feather us for no goddamn reason. To hang us from tree to tree because of false accusations of crimes that was put on us. Those are atrocities, man, that should never go unpunished. You know how many black women and children the same black women and children that you see walking around here today, the same women that you talk to and help with their groceries, the same kids that you give little quarters and little dollars to running around hoping that they grow up to do something with their life. The same kids and the mothers and the grandmothers that you love and you help today, them same ones, man, they was alive back then in slavery, man. Back then there was some kid that you would give $1 to, or back then you would give a little piece of bread to try to help him out. And they would take him and use him for alligator bait. Back then it was the same grandmama that you love that would heal your wounds for you. That would go in the woods and get the herbs and the medicines that she learned and would try to, you understand, make your life as best as she could, even though her life was terrible. Even though her life was hell, she would deal with her pain and go in them woods and get the berries and the tree bark and to try to make your life better. Them same women that you know and you love today are the same women that oppressor hung from tree to tree because of something that she ain't even had nothing to do with. Because of something that she had no control over. And you had to sit there and you had to see your grandmama hang. You had to see your mother hang from that tree. Knowing the pain that is going to cost your family. Knowing the pain that's going to cost your children. The pain that's going to cost your brothers. And you had to watch that. Those are the same atrocities that they committed thousands of years ago back in Jerusalem. You understand? Them Romans committed the same atrocities back then. And them with them guillotines. You understand? What did King put that brother in? The what? Nah, the brother, remember with the story of Esther. He sent the good night. What's them things? The gallows. You understand? With the gallows, hanging us from gallows to gallows. You understand? That's what they did 70 AD, man. You understand? After Christ had died. Keep going. Salakia, Baba Kushah. Oh, read it from the top if you could. If you could, Baba Kushah, just read it from the top.
In the year 65 BC, the Roman armies under General Pompey captured Jerusalem. In 70 AD, General Vespasian and his son Titus put an end to the Jewish state with a great slaughter. Many outrages and atrocities were committed against the residue of the people. During the period from Pompey to Julius, it has been estimated that over 1 million Jews fled into Africa.
So after Christ died, they went and just slaughtered all of Jerusalem. And the ones that was left over, they committed atrocities, man. You gotta imagine how wicked this man is. Like, look at all the movies, right, that the oppressor creates in Hollywoods. And some of them movies, you just be like, yeah, damn. Like, how the hell did he even think to do something that's so outrageous as that? Understand, like Saw. Like Saw is something that some man is sitting up in there and he's thinking like, you know, how the hell would I torture? And he's like, yeah, this is how I do it. And them same atrocities, man, probably made them play games and probably made them do all kinds of things, man. Like, just whatever he wanted to do in his wicked mind, he did it to the residue of the people. If he seen some woman that he you know, she crying up under some house trying to hide, and he wanted to rape her, or they wanted to gang rape her, you understand, Salakia, they did it. If they seen some man or some baby and they wanted to tear him from limb to limb, they did it. They did whatever the hell they wanted to do, man. That's why I said many outrageous atrocities was committed against the residue. But even after all of that, it is said that 1 million Jews, right? 1 million Jews fled from Jerusalem, fleeing from the persecution of our oppressor, fleeing from them Romans, them same ones that killed Christ. You understand? Running to get a better life, they fled where?
Fled into Africa.
They fled into Africa. Why? Why would they go into Africa?
Fleeing from Roman persecution and slavery.
They're running from the Romans, but why would they run to Africa? Why not go to China? Why not go with the Ishmaelites? Or why would Jews run to Africa? Remember what in today's knowledge in the world, Jewish people are white. They're the white people, right? So why the hell would they run to Africa? Just imagine the Jews you see on TV. That's up there in the Diamond District with the little curls and the chickens and all of that. Imagine how ridiculous that looks. Them living amongst Africans, trying to run away from Romans, and Romans are chasing them. Imagine that. Imagine they run to Africa. They get into Africa. They see some African, and they like, oh, I'm going to hide here. And they standing beside some African thinking they blending in. What would happen if the Romans found them? They look like, I don't even know I don't know the Jewish names or nothing like that. But they look like the Jews that you see on TV, and they're hiding in Africa. What would happen? The Romans are coming to get them. You understand? They would find them. They would stick out like a sore thumb. Them Jewish people, first of all, they couldn't even live amongst Africans, man. Do you see how they live today? They would not be able to get down and rugged and dirty with no Africans, no goddamn where. They would not survive. And the Africans would be wary of them. The same way they were worried of the pale man coming on off the ships. They would be worried of the pale man coming from the north. And be like, hold on, who the hell is these people? It wouldn't work. You understand? It don't make sense. What you got, Zabak?
An area surrounded by blacks.
Good
And
night.
if Christ was white, like that pale-faced, blue-eyed devil that's on the picture, he would stick out like a sore thumb as well.
Exactly. You understand? And Christ won't white. You understand? And that's why he didn't stick out like a sore thumb. That's why they had to track him down. You understand? But back on topic, the truth of the matter is, for time's sake, so we get back on topic, the truth of the matter is that the Jewish man is not white. You understand? And those were blacks. Those were black. The Israelites are blacks, Hispanics, and Native American Indians. And those tribes, those Jews fled from Roman persecution, and they fled down into Africa. You understand? And that's how we got there. Is any more on that? Mm-hmm. And the reason we fled into Africa is because we could blend in with them. Hold on 1 second. Let me restart this live. If there's any more on that, you can go ahead though.
Con.
Mm-hmm.
During the period from Pompey to Julius, it has been estimated that over 1 million Jews fled into Africa, fleeing from Roman persecution and slavery.
Mm-hmm.
The slave markets were full of black.
Of what?
The slave markets were full of black.
Of white.
Of black.
Of olive colored.
Of black.
Of black. Keep going.
Jewish slaves.
Mm-hmm. You understand? Hold on 1 second. Good night. They making this difficult. The slave markets were full of black Jewish slaves, right? That sounds too familiar to what we went through here in America. You understand? It didn't say that them it don't say that they were white Jewish slaves, man. It says that they were black. You understand? Because the color of their skin, the complexion of their skin was dark. These people who fled into Africa had melanin, man. You understand? They had color to them. Is there any more on that? They had color in them. You understand? I'm going to drop that. Give me Matthew chapter 1 and verse 21. You understand? But to answer your question, with all of that knowledge that came out of being in the I.S.U.P.K and the truth, it's just hard to debunk that. Like even if someone is not trying to debunk that we're not Africans, it's so easy to debunk that the Jewish man that we think is the Jewish man. It's so easy to just prove that he's not that man. It's so easy to prove that that's not him. You understand? Even if I believed we're African, but then we look at the Jewish man and we say, oh, well, that's not him. He's not the black Jewish slave. He's not black. You understand? There's no way in hell he lived in the conditions under Pharaoh. It's no way in hell. You understand? Who was it? Was it Pharaoh that said it, or was it the president of Egypt who said something about the Israelites? Right. Yeah. Right. They left black and came back white. That's what the president of Egypt said. I forget his name. Naira. You understand? They left black and came back white. So it's too much evidence against them to be the Jews according to the Bible. And so when you realize that they are not the Jews according to the Bible, and then you realize when you go into these scriptures that it says the Jews are black. When it says that the Jews have the gates language, meaning they don't have no leadership. Then you read that they will be taken into slavery by way of cargo slave ship. And then you read all of the conditions and the curses that was going to be put on the Jews. You would have to stack up. You would have to go into another book and start to stack up the evidence that proves that we're African. Because all throughout the Bible, it's evidence proving that all of these scriptures are pointing to us. All of them. You understand? All the curses in Deuteronomy are pointing to us and not pointing to nobody else. You understand? But if that answers your question, Slag, Adawan, did that answer your question? Okay, come on, Slag. Okay. Okay, what does the I.S.U.P.K have to do? Now, are you just asking me personally, or just in general? What should?
A lot of people who are privy to, now even Christian pastors will say, yeah, we're the Israelites. Even Muslims will say, we're the Israelites. You know, you got everybody say we're Israelites.
You gotta show me that. I don't know what I'd do if a Muslim was like, yeah, I know I'm Israelite. Oh, for real? So like, I didn't know that. I didn't know that.
They acknowledge that we
okay.
We're the Israelites, but they still were hilltop and saved and didn't keep the law. So now, when the audience, the people on social media, if they are acknowledging it, so what if they feel like that's enough to acknowledge that we're an Israelite and they don't have to do anything else? They just say, okay, I'm an Israelite. You know, still go to church, still eat pepperoni pizza, still, do the same thing I've been doing.
The thing that will stop you from basically what you're saying, sinning against the Lord, the thing that will stop you from sinning against the Lord for a brother who understands that he's an Israelite or agrees, right, that the Bible is the book, he's an Israelite, is that you would have to ask yourself, which is what a lot of brothers don't do, and which they don't, is if they really love their people. If they really love blacks, Hispanics, and Native American Indians. A lot of times, a lot of people say that they love black people, but they really don't. You understand? Because it goes into, like, what do you say to the little boy who tells you he wants to be a great football player when he gets older? But when you tell him, well, when you want to be a great football player when you get older, you're gonna have to work hard, and you gonna have to work hard, and you're gonna have to go to this camp, and you're gonna have to eat these diets, and you're gonna have to watch this game film, and you're gonna have to put in hours and hours and hours of countless hours of work, and this, that, and the third. You understand? What do you tell the brother who says, I want to make it, but I just don't want to do that? You understand? I want to make it to the NFL, but I don't necessarily want to work for it. What would you tell him? What would be the truth of the situation? Even though the truth may be hard to hear. May be hard to tell that little boy the truth. I'll give it to you. The truth is, you do not want to make it to the NFL. You don't. You don't want to make it. You think it's a great idea. It's a great thing to fathom that, you know, you being in the NFL one day. But if you're going to tell me that you're not going to put in the work to actually get there, then you really don't want to make it. And that's the same thing with brothers in the world who claim to love black people, but don't want to put in the work to fix our condition. You understand? Like, it's one thing to just be a brother that fixes yourself. It takes a whole different kind of brother that takes the responsibility of everybody else in fixing them. Like, to sit in this seat, you have to fix yourself, right? You have to hold yourself accountable. But when you look out here and you see these brothers doing drugs, you have to realize that it's my fault. It's my fault that them brothers is on drugs. Maybe I'm not teaching well enough. Maybe I'm not at camp enough times. Maybe I ain't held enough food drives. Maybe I ain't passed out enough flyers. You understand? Maybe if I came in here and put in more work, then more brothers would come in here and do the same. But it takes a different kind of brother to not stop at, I love my people, I believe my people can change, but to go further than that, but then to take the responsibility of fixing them. You understand? And the reason why, if a brother in his mind said that, okay, I agree that now we have a responsibility for each other as a nation. We have a responsibility to hold each other accountable and to go out here and fix our people on these streets. Now, how does the I.S.U.P.K come into play? It don't matter what you believe. Even in history of America, every black man who has ever tried to fix his people, whether the Lord was with them or not, they've always had to try to do it together and have some kind of organization with it. No black man ever was able to just go out here by himself and to fix black people. He couldn't. He could pass little knowledge here or there, but what happens when that brother he's passing knowledge to needs rent money? What happens to that brother when he's passing knowledge to brothers in the streets? He's telling them, you know, don't eat shrimp, don't eat pork, don't eat lobster, man. Stop smoking weed. Stop doing this, stop doing that. Hey, man, you should read this. You should read this book. What happens when that brother is about to get kicked out of his house? Or what happens when he needs counsel because his wife is being a dragon? Or what happens when the police, you understand, what happens when that brother needs brothers? What brothers is he going to call on if you're not a brother in here? You understand? Like, what are you going to do? Imagine, like, what was that movie? It was some movie. I keep forgetting the name of all these movies. But it was some movie. It was actually it was a cool movie. But in the movie, the Koreans came down in America. One day, they just started flying down in America. It was. I think it was Wolverine. I think that's what they called themselves when they actually came together. Red Dawn or something like that. But then they called themselves the Wolverines or something like that. Yeah. So imagine that day happens. You understand? Imagine that happens. You walk outside one day and goddamn Koreans are floating down out and they ready to start killing every goddamn body. You understand? Like if you remember back before, I think even before we have this school? I think we just opened this school. There was a brother in here who agreed with everything we was talking about. He agreed about Israelites and all of that, but he was just like, I just don't feel like I need to be a part of you. I feel like, I can be out there. What was that? That you know who I'm talking about because I seen him at Chick-fil-A that one day. Remember that brother who he used to come in here? He came in for like 4 or 5 times, and we seen him at Chick-fil-A. He was like, yeah, I told you I'd be out here. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. That brother, he was like, he came in here a few times. What was his name, man? I keep forgetting everything. I think you was the one dealing with the brother. He had the Edomite rib. Freedom. Yeah. That brother would come in here every day agreeing with everything, but he never felt like that he's supposed to be in here with us. And this is what I'm saying, because having the knowledge, like even with Polite and other intellectual brothers out here, no knock on them and what they know. You understand? Like the things that Polite may know and can teach you about diets, right? It may be good. That may be something that a lot of brothers should be able to. Brother, what do you say? What's that? The sea moss? That stuff nasty as hell. You understand? But but that's what I'm saying. Like, I know we go against Polite because of what he teach, but no knock to the brother about the knowledge that he knows about his diet. He may know some good knowledge about his diet, or you may have a brother who is a Muslim who may have some good information about credit or something like that, and all of that is tawab. You may have a brother who know everything about the goddamn stars, everything about the constellations, and then you may have a brother in here who knows everything about them Bible scriptures, but none of that means shit if them Koreans start flying down. None of it means not a goddamn thing if you get laid off of your job and you don't got rent money. None of it means nothing if you got enemies, if you don't have your brothers, if you don't have brotherhood, and if you don't have a family or a nation that you can cleave to. If you don't have it, then all the knowledge in the world, it goes out the door. Like imagine Brother Polite, and he's outside breaking down the knowledge of the stars, and then he's looking at the stars, and then Koreans fall down, about to kill him. What the hell is the knowledge of the stars going to do for you in that day? Nothing. That's why even in the truth, every brother is not a Bible scholar. Every brother in here is not the Lashawan Kodash king. Every brother in here can't get up here and just start teaching, the way General Mahayman does it, or the way Captain Tazariak does it. Every brother, some brothers is good for just shamar. Some brothers are just soldiers. Some brothers is good with gathering food and organization. Some brothers are good with computers and technological stuff. Some brothers is good with looking on the internet and finding stories. Some brothers is good with just being a brother, man. And getting, some brothers pull up every day with the strong. And that's all he do. You ask him to get up here and pronounce these words. He's, my God, Juan. But that brother gonna come in here with the strong though. And if you need rent money and Cap send out the message and say we need to gather $500 for the brother rent money, he gonna send $250. He gonna do that. He gonna make sure that he at camp holding Shamar. He gonna make sure he had the food drive looking for anything that he can do. He gonna be like a Sadak, Officer Sadak. You understand? He gonna be that kind of brother. And that's what the I.S.U.P.K is built upon. It's not built upon gathering in the streets with hundreds of brothers and marching with AK-47s and assault rifles and grenades. That's not what's going to fix our people. You understand? It's not about being the most scholarly. It's not about being, knowing about the stars and knowing how to plant crops and knowing all of that. That's not what it's not what the entirety of this body is about. It's not. A brother can be in here and be the strongest brother and not know not one scripture. He not know how to pull not one scripture. He know the basics. He know that blacks, Hispanics, and Native American Indians are the true Jews according to the Bible. He know that we're not supposed to eat shrimp, crab, pork, and lobster. And he know that Christianity is a lie. And he know that the white man is the devil and his brothers is everything before anything else. And that brother will come in here and be the mightiest brother in the truth. And that's all this truth is built upon. And that's everything. That's why that brother who left and went to go teach who the 3 or 4 or 5 people, I don't know who the hell he teaching, he won't be called mighty in the kingdom of heaven. Because who the hell is going to call you mighty? We don't know you. I've never seen you before. You won't out here putting in the work at that food drive. You won't out here blazing in the sun. You won't sending cash apps to brothers and sisters when they needed rent money. You won't here struggling and losing your life to be in these classrooms every goddamn day. Losing time out with your woman. You won't sitting in these councils. You won't hear with us when we were begging you to come here. We were calling for you to come stand with us. We were calling for you. And brother, you didn't answer the call. So when it comes down for Christ, you understand, you got all the knowledge of when Christ comes to take over. You got all the knowledge of the destruction of America. You know all of it's going to happen. You out there teaching the 3 people you teaching about it. But when it's all said and done and when the dust clears, Christ is looking for order. Christ is looking for an army. He ain't looking for a bunch of stragglers running around, climbing up out of the dust, trying to get them together. Christ is looking for a people where he could start speaking the Lashwan Kodash and give orders, and we know what to do. He looking for an army. Give me Joel chapter 2, and every man in their ranks. This is what Christ is looking for, man. And you only going to find that in the I.S.U.P.K, the home of the truth. Commander General YAHANNA gave the order a year ago for all camps to come back home. You understand? Under the one body. And it ain't got nothing to do with no being the wizard scholar. You ain't got to be Wizard Kelly to come up in here. You ain't got to have a degree. You ain't got to have a well-paying job. You ain't got to have a good-looking woman or a nice life, driving a nice car to come up in here. You could come up in here with the rags off your back and sit up in that chair and be one of the mightiest men, man. You could be one of the mightiest brothers ever to step foot in this room without a dollar to your name. And that's what this school is built on. That's why this school has been standing since as long as it's been standing. Because you can go to a brother and say, oh, that brother, he ain't well versed in teaching that. Or, you know, that brother, you know, he be teaching and, you know, he not the best at doing it. Or that brother, you know, that brother YAHANNA, that, you know, that brother, you know, I see why he be not at the Sabbath service. That brother ain't trying to read that Lashwan Kodash. You understand? It may be true. Good night. I can read it. But a brother may have that thought like, yo, that brother, he ain't trying to read that Lashwan Kodash. He ain't reading that. But at the end of the day, that brother is here. You understand, whether he can read it or not. You understand, whether he get nerve-wrecked or not, standing up on that podium at camp, slurring his words, trying to figure out what to say. When he come up off that podium, that brother is more mighty than any man standing on the outside. He's more important than any man standing on the outside because he's here. You understand? Like that thought process of that we gonna get it on our own. We have to get rid of that thought process because we can't. Because when it comes down to it, you understand, all we are ever gonna have is each other. And sometimes your family members aren't enough. Sometimes it's not enough. The best thing to do is to bring them in here so that we can have that protection, so that we can have that order, so that you can be a part of that protocol and have that evacuation plan and be ready and know what to do just in case them Koreans start to fly down here. Because who the hell knows? We don't know. They may start flying tomorrow. And then it's time to go to work. You understand? And that brother freedom, Lord be with him. Lord be with that brother. I hope he can see us on the highway and just hop in the caravan with us. I hope. You understand? I pray that every brother that the Lord would spare. You understand? And guide them out of the hand of hell that's coming to America. You understand? But at the end of the day, the Lord said to make your election sure. I'm making my election sure that I'm here in the ranks of the I.S.U.P.K. so that when Christ comes back and he's looking for that army, he's looking for that men to control, to go and rebuild that kingdom. I'm making sure that I'm in them ranks. You got what I wanted? Book of Joel is you can read the whole thing. Let's go ahead and start at verse 2.
The book of Joel, chapter 1 and verse 2.
Mm-hmm.
Hear this, ye old men, and give ear, all ye inhabitants of the land. Have this been in your days, or even in the days of your fathers? Verse 3. Tell ye your children of it, and let your children tell their children, and their children another generation. Verse 4.
Go to Salakia. Go to chapter 2, Salakia. Joel chapter 2.
Verse 1.
Con, you can start at verse. Let me get there. My phone give me a hard time. You can start at verse 2.
The book of Joel, chapter 2 and verse 2.
This is talking about the day of the Lord. This is what the Bible prophesies is going to happen. For all those brothers out there who would tell you, yeah, I believe in the Bible. I believe that this stuff is going to happen. I believe in Christ. I believe Christ is coming back. Yada, yada, yada. But I don't want to be in that body. This is what, you understand, Christ said that day was going to be like. Keep going.
A day of darkness.
It's like the Lord. Keep going.
And of gloominess.
A day of darkness and gloominess. You understand? Keep going.
A day of clouds and of thick darkness.
Meaning ain't no sunlight, ain't no daylight. It's going to be a sad, dark day. Keep going.
As the morning spread upon the mountains, a great people and a strong. There have not been ever the like.
Meaning Christ's going to come back, and when the morning come, you're going to see a great people. You're going to be looking at these people. You're going to see a strong people. You understand? Keep reading.
Neither shall be any more after it, even to the years of many generations.
Talking about the kingdom, meaning this going to be the last time this is going to happen. No more after this. Even after years of generations, is this going to happen. Keep going.
Verse 3. A fire devoured before them.
A fire devoured before them. You understand that them is that great people. It's the strong people. And the fire is devouring before them. Talking about America, or that lake of fire. When America's kingdom is being destroyed and the Lord is destroying it, that great mighty people is going to be witnessing and watching it be burnt to the ground. Keep going.
A fire devoured before them, and behind them a flame burneth.
Meaning everything is burning to the ground. Nothing left. Keep going.
The land is as the garden of Eden before them, and behind them a desolate wilderness.
Meaning what? Back in the time of Adam, the Garden of Eden, which was like the kingdom of heaven for Adam.
Right.
You understand? That's what is before us. That's what we're about to build and we're about to go into. And behind us is America, and it ain't nothing but a wilderness. You understand? Keep going.
Yea, and nothing shall escape them.
Nothing shall escape them mighty men. Keep going.
Verse 4.
And nothing, it's talking about them hunting men, but we'll get to that point. Keep going.
The appearance of them is as the appearance of horses.
As the appearance of horses. You ever seen horses and you just look at them and you just like, man, horses just look so glorious. They look so like they like the noble steed. It's just like, you understand? Like your horse is that's how they gonna look at us. Like have you ever been driving in the country and you just seen horses just running around and you just, oh, look at the horses. You understand? That's how you gonna look at these men. Keep going.
And as horsemen, so shall they run.
Meaning these men are going to run as fast as horses. That's not an exaggeration. They are going to run at the speed that horses run. Keep going.
Verse 5. Like the noise of the chariots on the tops of mountains shall they leap.
they are going to be able to jump. You understand? If this gets to starting to sound like some Avengers movies, it is. It is exactly about to be just like that. Keep going.
Like the noise of a flame of fire that devoureth the stubble, as a strong people set in battle array.
As a strong people set in battle array. You understand? These people are together, and they are set in battle. How do you set a people in battle if they are all individuals? He's setting them in battle, meaning he's about to give them orders. He's about to give the order Bagalgawa, and they are going to go. You understand? Quadawam Taza'id. You understand? Keep going.
Verse 6. Before their face, the people shall be much pained. All faces shall gather blackness.
All faces shall gather blackness. Why? They going to look at us, and we going to see the pain on their faces. And we going to know. We've been telling them. We've been telling them this is coming. But why is their faces gathering blackness? Anybody want to take a guess? It's a literal thing. Yes. The smoke and the soot, the ashes is going to be on their face.
Damn right.
You understand? It's going to be gathering ashes, and we're going to look at them. If you ever seen 300, if you remember the part when they was walking and they came to the little town or whatever, and it was destroyed, and then that little boy was coming out of the smoke, and they thought it was like a giant or something. Just like that. You understand? You're going to see the pain on their faces, and blackness is going to cover their face. You understand? Keep going.
Verse 7. They shall run like mighty men.
They going to run like mighty men. Keep going.
They shall climb the wall like men of war.
They going to climb walls like men of war. You understand? If you ever seen Avengers when they was fighting against them things that came out the sky, you understand? It's almost like they went into the Bible and replicated the same thing. Them things running around like mighty men climbing up on the buildings. It's the same thing. Christ said we're going to be taken up in them chariots, and we're going to be given new bodies, and we're going to use them bodies. We're going to put them to work, and we're going to do exactly what this is talking about. Keep going.
And they shall march.
And they shall what?
March.
And they shall march. You understand? These aren't just a bunch of savages. These aren't just a bunch of individuals who just been given a new body that's going out and just slaughtering things. These are people who are set in battle array, and they are in order, and they are marching. You understand? And they are marching, and they are chanting, Babylon is falling. You understand? To rise no more. And they are about to go do the work that Christ has got set for them, man. You understand? Keep reading.
And they shall march, every one on his ways, and they shall not break their ranks.
And they shall not break their ranks. I wonder where you learned that from. I wonder if Freedom learned anything about not breaking his ranks. One of them brothers, them fake Israelites out there, learned anything about marching in battle array. You understand? They in there just worried about wearing purple garments and protected. What's that song, man? Take care of all wives and all children too. Or what's that part? Some of us chose to eat the swine. Good night. Ooh, good night, Salakia. I might get checked for even saying that nonsense. That just sounds so gay, Salakia. You understand? They ain't learning about being set in battle array, man. They ain't ready to go to war, man. They ain't ready for that. Imagine that. Imagine you is on the other side, and you just witness America burn. Somehow you made it. The Lord preserved your body. You not in the truth. You not with them strong, mighty men. The Lord saved you because he could. The Lord could bring you through the flames if he wants to. Up to you, right? I mean, up to him, Salakia. But imagine you coming out the ashes and all you hear is, some of us chose to eat the swine. Ooh, it's like, good night. I thought this was a bad day. I'm hearing a concert choir today. Understand? But good. I'm telling you, I'll play the song after this, after the class is over if you want to hear it. But it's a lie. It's hilarious. But these men, you understand? Read that part again.
The book of Joel, chapter 2, verse 7. They shall run like mighty men. They shall climb the wall like men of war. And they shall march, every one on his ways. And they shall not break their ranks. Verse 8. Neither shall one thrust another.
Neither shall one thrust another. Where you learn that from? Where you learn that from? You understand? How you not going to thrust one another if you all individuals? If one of you tell you you're going to go over here and the next one tell you, nah, bump that, we going over here, what's going to happen? You're going to split and you're going to fight each other. But there is a place where you learn that you are following orders, and that's just that. And you're going to stand your rank, and you won't break it, and that's just that. There is a place. I know of a place. If you want it, just ask. It damn sure ain't no Christian church.
Damn right.
And it damn sure ain't no Muslim mosque. You understand? Keep going.
1 second.
No sweat.
They shall walk every one in his path. And when they fall upon the sword.
And when they fall upon the sword, when we go to war, you understand? Keep going.
They shall not be wounded.
We shall not be wounded. You understand? Because the Lord got a job for us to do. And we are mighty men. You understand? And with them new bodies, we won't be wounded. Keep going.
Verse 9. They shall run to and fro in the city.
We shall run to and fro in the city. Keep going.
They shall run upon the walls. They shall climb up upon the houses.
We going to be searching. We going to be searching for something because we going to remember. You understand? What did Morpheus say? What did Morpheus say when they was down there in them tunnels? He said, in Zion, we shall remember. You understand? We going to remember all the crimes that they committed. We going to remember all the times that we was out here trying to teach our people to stop loving the so-called white man. We going to remember. And in that day, what the scriptures say? He sent for fishers. For today he sent for fishers, for fishermen, and they shall fish men. But in that day he shall send for hunters, and they shall hunt them from every cliff and from every rock. You understand? And we going to climb houses and walls to find them, hunting them so that we can bring them up out of them cages, bring them up out of them cliffs and them rocks and them $1 million bunkers that they going to have protecting themselves from thermonuclear warfare. And we going to bring them up out of them. And all they going to see is mighty men. And they are going to be the slaves that's going to rebuild our new kingdom. You understand? That's what this is talking about. Keep going.
They shall enter in at the windows like a thief.
Like a thief, man. You understand? Keep going.
Verse 10. The earth shall quake before them. The heaven shall tremble. The sun and the moon shall be dark.
Meaning no light. Keep going.
And the stars shall withdraw their shining. Verse 11. And the Lord shall utter his voice before his army.
Before his what?
Before his army.
Before his a bunch of individuals.
Before his army.
Before, just his Muslims who just don't eat pork.
Before his army.
Before his Christian church, who is in a bunch of different Christian churches, they try not to rape people, but sometimes they fall short.
Before his army.
Before his army. Keep going.
For his camp.
For his what?
For his camp.
For his what?
For his camp.
For his what?
For his camp.
One more.
For his camp.
Before his camp. These people that you just read about, they are not individuals. They are together. They know exactly what's going to happen.
That's right.
They're waiting on it to happen right now. I'm waiting on it to happen right now. I'm in here because I want it to happen right now. I want that crown. I want that body. I want to run as fast as horses. And I want to go and get them devils up out of them caves, man. And I want to do it, man. And I am going to do it with my brothers, set in battle array, every man marching on his rank and not breaking it. And his army and his camp, man. You understand? Keep going.
is very great.
Is very great. Keep going.
For he is strong.
That
executed his word. For the day of the Lord is great and very terrible. And who can abide it?
And who can stand it? Keep going.
Verse 12. Therefore also now, saith the Lord, turn ye even to me with all your heart, and with fasting, and with weeping, and with mourning. Verse 13.
Meaning change your life. Turn back to the Lord. You understand? Go forget all the stuff that you thought you've learned or thought you knew or was taught in the world, and come back to the Lord, man. And get ready to be a part of that army. Get ready to be a part of that very great camp that he just mentioned. You understand? Keep going.
Verse 13. And rend your heart and not your garments.
And rend your heart and not your garments. Meaning, yes, brother, come in here and change your mind and put on that Power Ranger. Put on that Power Ranger. Don't take the Power Ranger off. Don't change the Power Ranger suit just because the world calls you a goddamn Power Ranger. Change your mind and put on that goddamn Power Ranger suit and go to camp. Go feed your people in that Power Ranger suit and pray that the Lord comes to put death to the all oppressors while you in your Power Ranger suit. You understand what you got, Salaki? Salaki, who? God? Power? Man, all right. I'm trying to get it. I'm like, is he trying to say a Power Ranger is like the equivalent to God? Good night. But Khan, you understand? Yeah, Power Ranger. You understand? But power. You understand? Keep going.
And turn unto the Lord your God. For he is gracious and merciful, slow to anger, and of great kindness, and repenteth him of the evil.
Drop down to verse 16.
Gather the people. So like in verse 16. Gather the people. Sanctify the congregation. Assemble the elders.
Do what?
Assemble the elders.
It says assemble the elders. I told you it's going to start to sound like Power Rangers. Assemble the people of the nation of Israel. Keep going.
Gather.
Avengers, Salakia. Keep going.
Gather the children.
Assemble and the children too. Bring them too. Keep going.
And those that suck the breast.
And them too. Keep going.
Let the bridegroom go forth of his chamber, and the bride out of her closet.
Go to what time? Salaki. Go to Joel chapter 3. Chapter 3, start at verse 1. We got 5 minutes left.
The book of Joel, chapter 3 and verse 1. For behold, in those days and in that time, when I shall bring again the captivity of Judah and Jerusalem. Verse 2. I will also gather all nations and will bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat, and will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage Israel, whom they have scattered among the nations and parted my land. Verse 3.
Go drop to verse 9.
Verse 9. Proclaim ye this among the Gentiles. Prepare war.
Prepare what?
Prepare war.
Prepare war. Keep going.
Wake up the mighty men.
Wake up the mighty men. You understand? You're not going to wake up the mighty men in the Christian church. That's why the Christian men are weak. You understand? The only place that mighty men are dwelling is in the I.S.U.P.K. Where the hell else do you see in the streets of America? You see a man tell his woman that she better deal with it, that he got another woman, and do it, and have more than one woman, and not give a damn what she says running her mouth. You understand? And not being oppressed by his family, not giving a damn by what anybody got to say about what he's doing. Where else do you see it except in the I.S.U.P.K? You understand? This is where mighty men are. This is where you're going to get your boot kissed by the same oppressor that's been slaughtering your people.
That's right.
This is where you're going to get and plead with your people to get to render justice for our people against the so-called white man, for the crimes that he's committed. This is the only place we teaching you that there'll come a day where the same people you seeing in this room are going to be the same people out there slaughtering them white people for the crimes that they committed. This is the only place you're going to ever be able to say that and have brothers stand behind you. And have brothers stand behind you and say the exact same thing. You go out there in the world by yourself and try to tell the white man that he's the devil. You're going to go missing. Brother, you ain't going to have nobody to account for you. You understand? Everything you're going to do is going to have to be in silence. But in here, the Lord is speaking through us. And here we have protection because we have each other. You understand? And that's the only way that we are going to come up out of this oppression is with each other. Keep going.
Let all the men of war draw near.
Let all the men of war draw near. Keep going.
Let them come up. Verse 10. Beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say, I am strong.
Drop that. Give me I'm gonna get you one more. Give me Isaiah 26 and 20. This is the last one. Brother online said that's heavy truth. Most High in Christ.
The book of Isaiah, chapter 26 and verse 20. Come, my people, enter thou into my chamber.
This is where we gonna get them new bodies. You understand? This is where after Christ has set flames to America, this is what's gonna happen. This is the prophecy. Keep going.
And shut thy doors about thee. Hide thyself, as it were for a little moment, until the indignation be overpassed.
Until the indignation be overpassed, meaning until that destruction is done. You understand? Keep going.
Verse 21. For behold, the Lord cometh out of his place to punish the inhabitants of the earth for their iniquity.
The Lord is going to come back and destroy America for the crimes that they've committed against his chosen people. You understand? The Lord is going to come back and set battle array against America because of those atrocities that he committed back in 70 AD, because of the babies he used for alligator bait, because of the grandmamas and mamas that he hung from tree to tree, because of the mighty men that he buck broke and raped, because of the tactics that he used to enslave us, to brainwash us, because of the Christianity that he put on us, because he told us that we were African and we weren't, because of the tar and feathers, because of the skin that he used from our bodies to make relics and wallets, because of Fidel Castile and Tamir Rice and Sandra Bland and Eric Garner, you understand, and Emmett Till, because of all of it, all of the iniquity that he done to our people that he did not have to do. He did not have to do. The Lord is coming to wage war with America. Is there any more on that?
The earth also shall disclose her blood, and shall no more cover her slain.
And shall no more cover her slain. You understand? Meaning this white man ain't going to be able to go around slaughtering 77 million Native American Indians no more, and the earth cover it up. You understand? You understand how many bones you walk on every day? You know how many innocent bodies have been taken away and slaughtered for no reason, and we are here walking on the bones of the Native American Indians, walking on the bodies and the bones of our people and from slavery. The Lord is not going to allow that to happen to our people no more. But in that day, he's going to be calling for an army. And that day, he's going to be calling for his people to be together under one body, ready to take one order, ready to have their rank, ready to have their discipline, and ready to have their vengeance upon this demonic nation, man. And in that day, Brother, I hope that I get to look to my left and see you standing beside me. I hope to get to look to my right and see you standing beside me in your rank, and we can walk together and we can march together to go get justice, man. You understand? And with that, I'm gonna pass the class over to Precinct Officer I.S.U.P.K.
So I was saying you can do it out loud again.
We are the I.S.U.P.K out of 1 West, 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under Commandant General YAHANNA. New rules for brothers and sisters. When a new brother or sister comes into the school, they are off limits for 6 months. They are to be saluted only. They are here to shed themselves of the world. After 6 months, if a brother or sister has an interest in a particular person, he or she must get permission from the head to speak to a brother or a sister. There is another 6 months in which the brother or sister will court each other. After this 6-month period, the brother or sister will get permission from the head to marry. Ties, which is a commandment. You can find this in Numbers chapter 18, verse 21, and Malachi chapter 3, verse 8 through 10. Means 10th in Hebrew and is pronounced ma'aishara. 10% of every penny of any increase the Lord gives you, you give to the Treasury Department or teacher. Priest fund, free will offering for priests, not mandatory. Whatsoever amount you would like to give. Upcoming Holy Convocation.
It's the memorial blowing of the trumpets. I think it's September 17th. And that information will definitely get brought out as soon as we get close to that date. We're still looking for the Passover, correct?
Okay.
All right. We waiting on that information as well too. So keep preparing for that.
Check on social media such as ISUPK.com, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and so on for I.S.U.P.K events and materials. If a brother wants to be a trooper in the school, then he is to start wearing all black, which includes black boots, black boots, shirts, pants, headband, or scarf. And with that, I'm mighty. Walk on the Adam and turn face to east. Lord's Prayer in Hebrew. Abanaw, Shabbat Shemayim, Wadash, Hayah, Shemka, Yahweh, Taba'ah, Ratazai, Hayah, Aisha, Baratazah, Kawa, Hayah, Bashamayim, Thunder, Lakam, Ka, Yawam, Wasalata, Mayan, Ra, Kaya, Laka, Aman.
In the English, our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come. Thy will be done. In earth, as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. And forgive us our debts. As we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation. But deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom. And the power. And the glory. Forever. So be it.
So, men of Israel, prepare to salute the teacher. Men of Israel, Amayim Shabbat, Amayim, Barak, Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shabbat. So, I'm Salaki, I'm messing up my words. Sisters in the back, did we get it? Yeah, y'all give me top. We gonna do this, sister. All right. So, all right, y'all give me top. Dismiss.